Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Anil sir. Thank you, Karan, for doing this. Extremely grateful. Yes, I did get to meet Sridevi once. I was fortunate. This happened in 2012 when she came to Delhi. I was a Delhiite till 2017. That's when I shifted to Bombay. So 2012 was when she was in Delhi promoting English Winglish. And I had been a part of the promotions, being a fan and being completely euphoric that she was making a comeback after 15 years. So I was in touch with Gauri and Balki, and I had kind of, as they say, I had latched on to the whole promotional campaign that do this, do that, it is a Sridevi comeback after all. So they were completely friendly with me, so they invited me to meet her when she came to Delhi. That's when I met her, very briefly. Spoke a few words, extremely magical, extremely shy. I still have that photograph, and what makes that even more special is that Gauri Shinde took that picture. So yeah, so that's a memory I'll always cherish.
For me today and every moment of Sridevi's just takes me back to my entire childhood, my entire being, my passion and love for the movies, my absolute obsession with Hindi cinema. I think she has a large part to do with it. I can't recall the moment where I thought I'd fell madly in love with her. I was just her biggest fan, and I grew up in South Bombay, and that was a locality where kids around me weren't very, I would say they weren't very interested or excited in Hindi cinema at that time. It was in the 80s. I grew up in this neighborhood that you would know, Anil. I grew up in Malabar Hill, and kids in my area, they were a lot more, I think initially more interested in, whether it was comics or it was like other forms of entertainment, Hindi cinema being the lowest in their priority list. I, unfortunately or fortunately, was just not very sporty and not very interested in everything else. So I just sat at home and watched movies. And I remember watching all of Sridevi's earlier works. And
the loss of sports is the gain of movies.
Is the gain of movies. Well, I don't advocate that at all, because I think, being sporty is all good for various reasons, not just the athletic part of it or the fitness part of it, just in terms of your headspace. But I just grew up watching, I remember watching her appearance in Julie, and and then went on when she made her big comeback with
Julie
Himmat.
Had a small role.
Yeah, but Himmat Wala was where I remember going with my house help at that time to see Himmat Wala in a cinema hall, and because nobody in my immediate surrounding wanted to come with me, and I went multiple times and saw Himmat Wala, and then every other movie after that. And I remember literally dancing on a pot and a pan like she had. And my love story began with her, and it just never ended. And I remember my father was releasing a film on the same day as Mr. India. He released a film called Muqaddar Ka Faisla, which was directed by a very prolific filmmaker, Prakash Mehra. And my father was very hurt with me because on the opening day, I went running to see Mr. India. I didn't see my father's film. And then Kaate Nahi Katte became my anthem for that whole year. It wasn't a very, I'm sure, a very fun sight to see me dance to Kaate Nahi Katte, and which my father and mother endured right through that year.
Can you demonstrate a few steps?
No. I would have till I gave
this video viral.
Till I gave birth to my 2 children, I would have done that embarrassing thing right now. But I know eventually they're going to start watching these YouTube videos and just wonder what their dada is up to. But anyway, I just want to say that she just became like my entire being, like everything about her.
What was it about her?
I think it was just her eyes. It was like she spoke like through her eyes. It was just everything from just her eyes, the way she emoted. She just became like I felt like she was talking to me right through those movies. And I felt every time she moved and she spoke, she had this magical quality of just connecting with you. And she just seemed unattainable, inaccessible, and just the way you want your stars to be, and I just put her up on that pedestal, and she became like every movies of hers. And those movies that no one else saw, I saw. I saw every film of hers. And there used to be these big fights we used to have about who's a bigger Sridevi fan or who's a bigger Madhuri Dixit fan, and I used to take it so personally, because it was really, and when Chandni released, like you said, it became my obligation to keep dragging people from college, because I was in my first year junior college at that time at HR, and just wanted them to convert to being a Sridevi fan just the way I was. It just became a personal obsession and a personal mission for me at that point of time.
Yes. From